Another criteria, language criterion that I want to talk about is portability. Portability is the property of ease of transferring the program from one uh, architecture or implementation to another implementation. What does that mean? For example, um, we have Java, which compiles into bytecode, which runs on the JVM. So the JVM, in a sense, it was developed for every platform, or every common platform at least, and then Java is in a sense now able to run on every platform. So that will constitute a portability plus. On the other hand, if you write, let's say, in Objective C, which is the Apple language of choice, it only runs on Apple computers, on Mac computers, on operating systems used for Mac, which makes it a lot less portable. Now you can say Apple's doing it on purpose, but that's okay. That's a decision they made. But if you are writing a program and you want it to be portable, so you might say, I'd rather not write it in that language because it might not run on certain architectures. So portability can be defined in a whole bunch of levels. Is it source code portable? Just take the source, you have to take the source code and you are able to run it or compile it on multiple platforms. It could be intermediate language portable, like I just said, bytecode or NSIL or one of those. So this portability issue is something which sometimes makes or breaks a language. For example, if we ask ourselves, why did Java catch on? The difference between a language like Java and C++ was the portability. There are other issues, like, for example, things like well-defined, and C++ was like a multi-paradigm. It had imperative parts and object-oriented parts, and Java was just object-oriented. It was pure object-oriented back then. But what made it catch on was not that issue. What made it catch on, the reason why it caught on, was because of the time that it showed on it entered the stage, which was pretty much in the 90s, right? 1990s. And back then, the internet was just becoming big. It was the same time, and portability was an issue, meaning that you wanted to be able to write something in a sense once and put it on your website, and it should run on every platform. And Java introduced back then a thing called applets, and that's exactly what it did. It was able, all you had to do, every person had to install a Java virtual machine on their computer, and they pretty much developed JVMs for all common platforms. And then people who had to write all kind of code for the internet did exactly that. What they did is they went and they had to write once, execute many. Write once, execute many is the paradigm of portability. And when I say execute many, I don't mean many times. I mean many platforms. And Java was at the right place at the right time, because the idea of intermediate language was not a Java invention. It actually existed before Java in a language, a well-known language called Pascal. They have what's called a P code, which was the same idea. I mean, obviously it was different, but it was the same idea of having an intermediate language. The thing is that Pascal was developed in the 70s. Nobody even dreamt of the internet in the 70s. So the advantage that intermediate languages gave was not so useful in the 70s. But in the 90s, when the internet started spreading like wildfire, and people want to be able to write and run on multiple platforms, and they had to choose between C++, which compiled all the way down to assembly, and then further down into machine language, at least native C++. There was no managed C++ back then. Everything was native. Or Java, which compiled into bytecode, which was able to run on every possible machine. People had a choice that they had to make. And the choice was obvious. And that's the reason why Java caught on. Obviously, Microsoft noticed the trend and they came out with C Sharp. But the idea is that sometimes a certain criterion that a language has is what causes it to catch on and spread. If Java would have been like C++ without that portability advantage, it could very well be that it would never catch on. So sometimes the times plus some kind of advantage is the reason why a language catches on and becomes big the way it becomes.